Yo, this is Just a Black Podcast, episode 41. It's May 2022, Josiah, and I don't know if you knew, but it is Mental Health Awareness Month, bro.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We deliver guests we have on today.
Yes, sir. So I actually Googled it, and I was supposed to have green on. You gotta have like a green ribbon or something. Yeah, lime green. Okay, that's a good distinction. So I have my friend here, Morgan. How you doing? Thank you for joining the podcast.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, so I've been knowing Morgan since we were like teenagers. We went to the same high school for a hot second, so she moved on to better things.
Yeah, I'm jealous, man.
We went to a high school that was predominantly, white students. And then I guess Morgan just was like, you know what? I don't have to put myself through this. I'm just going to transfer, bro.
We don't. And, I mean, it got a little bit better, but a lot of it was just that bubble of like living in Fisher. You know what I mean?
Right. At that time, in like 05, 06, it's different. It was way different back then. So, we got you on here because it's mental health awareness. Josiah, beginning of 22, we just kind of started with this health awareness. I guess in the beginning of the year, it just kind of came organically, and it'll fit, because it's May. I just learned that it was Mental Health Awareness Month, Josiah, from Morgan, and it just makes sense to have you on here. So appreciate it for sure.
Of course, it's perfect timing, but I mean, it's always the right time to have a conversation about your health. So
yeah, you're right. I mean, it's perft time. It doesn't matter what time. It doesn't matter if it's May or not.
January, July.
Thanks.
For sure. So tell the people what you're doing with your life and kind of like your approach to mental health awareness and kind of like your definition of what mental health is.
For sure, right. So like Jordan said, I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. Now I live in South Florida in a small little beach town in Palm Beach County. Got my undergraduate in psychology from Spelman College. Then I went on to Adler University in Chicago, where I'm going to obtain my doctorate in clinical psychology. So I finished all my school. Right now I'm just working on finishing up my dissertation, which I am defending this summer, so keep me in y'all prayers for the next.
That's what's up.
And then I'll be official. I'll have my doctorate in clinical psychology. A lot of my experience thus far is in like community mental health or outpatient mental health. So longer term therapy, where you see clients for maybe 3 months, 6 months at a time, compared to short term therapy, which you would get somewhere like in a hospital or something like that. But I love it. For me, my definition of mental health, it's kind of like a trifecta of wellness of like your thoughts, your feelings, and your behavior, which comes from a cognitive behavioral orientation, which I practice as well, and therapy, which basically is leading people to have a better awareness of the way that they think, their cognition, so that they can understand that it impacts the way that they feel, and then thus you change your behavior. So those three are big. But when it comes to mental health, of course, we're talking about our brain as well, and just the health overall of how we feel and the things that we do. And that has always been super interesting to me. So that kind of led me into this path.
So you've been studying this type of stuff since Spelman?
Actually, I took my first psychology class, AP Psych, senior year at Cathedral High School.
Cathedral.
So I was gonna say, did you have like a personal experience to make you want to do this type of work? Because you're doing the Lord's work for real.
Oh man, it's definitely a service, for sure. It's definitely my calling and my purpose. I wouldn't say I had an experience, but I think just in my mind, just the person that I am, I've always been very curious. Like, why does this person act this way and this person responds this way? And then just having a lot of empathy and emotional intelligence. So being really aware of like how I felt and what my own feelings were, but then also being able to recognize, oh, that person seems sad or that person is embarrassed. And while that may seem kind of simple, a lot of people, when they look at someone or even themselves, they can't really identify how they feel. That's what I've learned through working with adolescents and adults. So having that awareness is sometimes a skill that has to be learned. But just naturally, it was just something I was always really keen to. And I think that is really what led me to psychology.
Word. All right, Josiah, you got it.
Yeah, so like so when you meet these people, do you think it's more environmental or just a lot more personal?
So that's kind of like the nature versus nurture question, right? So like, are you born like that, or is it your environment? And it's definitely both. Because there's something called like a predisposition or like a genetic vulnerability. So some mental health disabilities or illnesses are genetic. So something like ADHD, which is like a neurological, has more to do with your brain. ADHD, autism, those types of things can be passed on, as well as something like anxiety or depression. So sometimes you might have something in you, and maybe it hasn't necessarily come out, and sometimes that's the nature part, right? So in a really stressful event, like a divorce or any kind of trauma, what you might already have like a vulnerability to might then start to arise or come out, as an example to answer your question. But it really truly can be both.
I mean, I think for me, I think it's kind of easy to kind of see or kind of judge a situation like from to someone else. It's like, okay, this person might be sick or something's wrong with this person. In my eyes, whether it be right or wrong, good or evil, however you want to put it. But it's very challenging to see within yourself where it's like, I might be sick. I might have a problem in a certain area. Whether it might be like every day, like it seems like I'm having a good day, or like it seems like I'm doing good at work. I got a good job, I got decent money. Like I'm solid, but it's like I still have a problem in this area, and it's like that is the most challenging thing, I guess, for me, because it's like me personally, it's like I know I have some issues in certain areas, but it's like, how deep is it really? You know what I mean?
And we all do. And just to go back on what you were saying, like just because you have a problem, which many of us do, most of us do, doesn't necessarily mean you're sick. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
It's definitely a spectrum. You know what I mean? So you have to think about, like, on one end, there's very sick, need treatment, and then on the other end, it's like, okay, like maybe I'm dealing with some things, but it's not that bad. I can get through it. I think what you have to think about is your functioning. How's your functioning at work? How's your functioning in relationships, and so on and so forth. And that can be kind of a good way to like kind of gauge, how bad or not bad something is.
Yeah. So like, do you study like Sigmund Freud?
Yeah, Freud, if you don't know who Freud is, and you're in this profession, something is wrong. But and he's done a lot for the field of psychology, but the things that he discovered or thought of, in terms of the unconscious and the id and the ego and things like that, we use that, but a lot of it is, there's so much newer, more relevant things. But I see you dropping names.
Yeah. I know stuff.
All right, Josiah, I see you doing your research, bro.
You learned that in Psychology 101.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Howard.
So, like, okay, let's, like, you hinted to it earlier, like, I guess, like, let's go to like relationships right now. It'd be like family or significant other, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, or just a regular best friend, whatever. Like, what if there's situations where I might be close to someone, or I might be knowing someone for a long time, and then, so, like you said, a certain life experience happens where something triggers something, the trauma, and then that person becomes like a different person, or like, they change, and it's all in the mind, and it's tough to kind of like, sometimes it's tough to approach that person. Sometimes it's tough to approach the situation because you know how bad it is. but you don't want to like make it worse. Well, I wouldn't say make it worse or
Like
make it,
trigger it.
yeah, trigger something,
Yeah.
saying the wrong thing or,
Yeah.
you know, moving the wrong way, unconsciously or consciously. So it's like, I guess my question is, like, if you know someone who is mentally, I guess, ill, you know, struggling is a better word, you know, having challenges, you know, doing things, and you know for a fact that it's mental, you know, what are some ways to approach these type of people who might be, you know, mad emotional, or, you know, is that trauma or that life experience is really weighing heavy on them, and you know you're just trying to be a cool dude, you're trying to be that friend, you're just trying to be that family member, whatever that case may be, you know, like kind of speak to that, because I feel like a lot of Black families, whether you like it or not, like we deal with that type of thing, you know.
And especially like within our community, and
Yeah.
a lot of what people are used to, sometimes they just push things under the rug,
Right.
or they sweep things under the rug, push, sweep, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I hear you.
And a lot of times, unfortunately, people just rely on one thing. And for example, I mean, like prayer, when really like God gave us the tools on earth to be able to use certain things, you know what I mean? Like medicine and therapy and stuff like that. It's really the combination that gives the best outcome. But back to your question, that can be tough because you can feel like you're walking on eggshells, you know what I mean? But I think what's important for people to understand is like meeting people where they're at. And if you can just be open-minded and very thoughtful and considerate about how you approach that person, and really all you can do is offer your support, maybe let them know what you're noticing, but be cognizant and be aware of like how they're responding to you. If they're super defensive or they get super emotional, you know, you might have to like take a step back, you know what I mean? Because the average person isn't a mental health professional. So I mean, it's not like you're going into
exactly. I mean,
but
because you keep going. I'm sorry.
You want them to know you support them, right? And you're there for them, and you can encourage them. You can offer them suggestions on like positive things to do, or invite them to do positive things. You know what I mean? Instead of maybe, hey, let's go out and have some drinks. Like maybe you invite this person and go work out with you, or to go on a walk, or you know, it's like something
simple,
positive, not something like that could contribute or make things worse. Because a lot of times we do things that we think are
fine.
To that point, I mean, the things that you're kind of their examples, I mean, those are ways to kind of help release, you know, whatever that could be going on if you're working out or doing whatever, you know, doing something positive. Yeah. Cause I mean, for me, I just want to be, I like to think, what is the logic behind certain decision making, or like clarity on why I should move in a certain way before I decide to do it. And sometimes I'm ignorant, and sometimes I need to learn, you know what I mean? So and I felt guilty of getting mad at other people of not receiving it in the way that I want them to receive it. And sometimes, you know, sometimes it's tough to kind of break myself down in that way. And you, like you said, like we got to take a step back sometimes. It's weighing tough on that person who has the illness or the struggle, but it's a struggle for, you know, the people who, the regular people, you know, who've trying to, you know, support, you know, he, she, whatever. It's a tough back and forth for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I mean too, by like meeting people where they're at, like understanding like that change is a spectrum as well. And like just because you bring it up to someone, they might not be ready like to change or to accept. But if you're gonna be their friend and you're gonna be supportive, you kind of just have to accept, you know, however, you know I'm going into this like with a positive mindset, like my motives are good, and if they don't receive it well, you just have to accept that and be able to say like, you know what, I could take a step back, maybe you try again in another month, or you just keep an eye out on that person, continue to offer them support, and if they feel the need, maybe they'll come to you, you know, when the time comes.
Josiah, we are getting lessons on how to love someone. Like it's really like that's basically what it is. Like
Yeah.
like love. Like I heard my pop say, like love is like doing things outside of yourself, like even when you don't feel like doing it, or like even when it's like even when it's challenging. It's just like it's crazy, man, for sure.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between a therapist and a psychiatrist?
Oh, that's a very
Great question.
Yeah.
That's a very good question. And technically I wouldn't fall under any of those categories. And I'll tell you what I
Right.
mean. So a psychiatrist is a medical doctor. It is someone that you go to that will prescribe medications. They are treating your symptoms, but they are not providing you with like a 45-minute sit on the couch, therapeutic, talk it out type of session. It's usually much shorter, anywhere between like 7 to 15 minutes. And they're treating like the science behind like, okay, whatever they prescribed you, when they see you, they want to make sure that medication is working. Does it need to be switched? Does the dose need to go higher? Are you having any side effects and things like that? So they're treating the mental illness, but they're treating it from a scientific background. Whereas a therapist, which usually therapists are master's level. So you have like your licensed marriage and family therapists, you have licensed mental health counselors, you have social workers. There's a few different categories, but they're providing your therapy. So they cannot prescribe you a medication, but they will sit down with you. You'll have goals, you'll have a treatment plan, and they will be, providing like therapy, things to, help you find coping skills and things like that. Whereas therapists and psychiatrists usually work together because a lot of times people are in therapy and maybe they also are taking a medication. So the therapist and the psychiatrist might work together. And my title when I get my degree will be psychologist. So I won't prescribe medication. I will do therapy, but the thing that kind of sets psychologists apart is we also do psychological testing. So we do testing for learning disabilities, personality testing, socio-emotional testing. So any kids that have an IEP, like an individualized education plan at school, a lot of times they'll get academic or achievement testing and a psychology test.
That's a lot, man.
But it's important to know the difference because it's important for people to know what they need and where they need to go see. You know what I mean? If you're worried if your kid might have ADHD, then you know, okay, I don't want to go see a therapist. I need to go see a psychologist because maybe I need to get testing done. Or if you're interested in getting medication, you need to go to the psychiatrist or a psychiatric nurse practitioner. Those are also other professionals that can prescribe psychiatric medications.
Okay. Do you think it's appropriate for employers to include therapy sessions or like have that option within the insurance? Because I've asked that question like with this last job I just got. That was one of my main questions in the interview. It's like, we get the medical, dental, vision, whatever. It's like, what about my mental, bro? Like, it's like, what about the mental?
How are you gonna do your job if you're mental?
And then like with the work stress and all this life, like it's like you want me to be good at my job all the time. Like I feel like you should invest in in my mindfulness. You know what I mean?
So my answer is yes. I absolutely think it should be included. And a lot of times people don't know that their job has an EAP or employee assistance program. And a lot of times those programs offer you, say, for example, maybe 6 free sessions, like with the therapist or something like that. And these are resources people don't know that are there that could be using them. You know what I mean? But then of course, there are other jobs that don't. But I do think it should be included.
I feel like it's coming. Hopefully.
I do too. I feel like we're at a time when mental health is it's very much a buzzword. It's very trendy. And normally I don't like trends, but I'm like, if this is the trend and it's bringing awareness and it's, breaking down the negative stigma, so be it. You know what I mean?
I'm with you. I'm rolling.
About mental health. So, hey, trend on.
How much do you think social media plays a part in people's mental health?
Oh my gosh, a lot. And I mean that on a positive and a negative side. just like social media, just like anything else. Too much of anything is not good.
Right.
You know, too much water can kill you. Too much social media can really cause problems. You know what I mean? Especially if you're not aware of like, what are you looking at when you're on social media? You know, are you looking at basketball reels, or are you looking at men or women that like make you feel bad about yourself? You know what I mean? Or stir up anger and hatred and jealousy in you. You know what I mean? So it's all about what you direct your attention to, because there's healthy eating stuff on IG. There's all kinds of positivity.
Yeah.
It just depends on what you're using.
How you navigate. Yeah. I guess where do you think that comes from? Because I guess earlier we were talking about like a life moment that would trigger trauma. But what would you think, you know, someone scrolling on Twitter or Instagram and they're just watching someone, I like to call them highlights. Like people just show you highlights on social media, like
the best parts of their life.
You know what I mean? It's just like here are the good things that happened to me this week. Not like I almost was late for work, or you know,
my boss yelled at me, I stubbed my toe.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I guess where do you think that comes from, where people naturally, or I guess consciously, or kind of like compare themselves to others or other lifestyles just because they have 20,000 views on one video or something?
You know, I think because it's the easy thing to do, and it's like what society teaches us to do, and typically the easy things in life are not like the best things for us. What it's hard to do is to have balance and discipline and to focus on yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's much easier to be in somebody else's business and look at how good their life is and not be grateful for what you have. Like that's easy to do, because we've probably all been there. It's harder to sit back and be like, oh man, okay, what can I have gratitude for today? You know, how can I make myself better, instead of look at somebody else and see and compare their life to mine, you know? And I feel like society and just like culture, it kind of perpetuates that. It doesn't encourage us to be our true
ourselves.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's like I'm trying to like you said, like if this is the trend, let's make it cool. But it's like
exactly.
It's like, how do you make it cool? Because you know, you have, like you said, I mean, I think we all can agree, like I guess the mental health, being active in that space, like it's becoming more prevalent now. And among Black people, I think it's becoming way more accepted to kind of, you know, be a part of it. But Josiah Johnson, I don't know if I can afford, you know, paying someone like Morgan on that level, because she worked hard at that level. She don't need her money, bro. And I'm just like,
you know what? And that's like a big myth of therapy or mental health in general too, that like, oh, this is a luxury, like this isn't for normal people, or that it has to be expensive. Like, no, like I said, some people don't even realize if they already have health insurance, it might already be covered. All of your provider and ask, you know what I mean? Sometimes they have websites and it'll list providers for you that are in your network, and you just choose one. And there are tons of free resources for mental health, tons, but people don't know about them.
Yeah. And for me, it's like, how do I find Black people like yourself, or Black men who I can talk to about some serious things that's on my mind? And
this is where social media comes in again, because there's dope accounts out there that are for us, made by people who look like us. There's a page called Melanin and Mental Health. There's a page called Therapy for Black Girls. I don't know as many.
I'm about to say, offline, you can just give them to us and we can repost them. Yeah, we can post them.
A whole list of resources that you can share with your followers.
That'd be dope. Yeah, that'd be dope. All right, Josiah, you got anything?
Man, how do you like help your mind, like yourself?
That's a great question, because you in school, you probably
you just like people. You look at your notes, or
that's people ask and say like really funny things, you know, when you're in the profession, but no one has ever said that. That's hilarious. I I don't look at my notes. Sometimes I wish I had another version of myself for myself.
Yeah.
It's like I can't be who I am for other people to myself. You know,
I feel that.
I'm a human, you know, I have my own feelings and stuff. So, man, you have to surround yourself with people that are good for your mental health.
Yeah.
People that support you like in a healthy way, like in unconditionally, like not based on conditions. I work really hard at working on my coping skills and doing things like that make me feel good. So like I work out probably 5 to 6 days a week. It might be 20 minutes, it might be 45 minutes, but it's something that like makes me feel good about myself. And like the physical effects are good as well too. So it's like that's something I just like require of myself, you know. I try to, you know, stay in the Bible and pray and things like that. You know, you get off track sometimes, but if you have like a good like number of like good things that you do, if you slack off on some of them, hopefully you're still like doing some of the others. So like 1 week I might forget, you know, to read my verses or to really pray how I wanted to, you know, but I'm still working out, or it might flop the next week.
Yeah.
Or I have friends that I can call and talk.
Yeah.
Being in this profession, I've learned how to like pause and take a break and give myself the time when I need it, rather than to try to push through and act like everything is fine, because that will leave you worse off.
That's one thing I do respect about women though. Like y'all call each other and just tell all the business and all the tea. And then if y'all need advice, y'all tell the advice. If y'all just want somebody to listen, they just chill back and listen and drink wine with you or whatever. Like, I feel like for guys, it's like,
it's not like that.
It's tough, man. Like, I mean, it's easy for me and Josiah. Like, we're brothers, and I could just call Josiah or Jay or whatever, be like, bro, I did this. I'm missing it. You know, tell me what I need to do. Blah blah blah. But it's tough for me. Like, to be honest, it's tough for me to hit up by my guys and just be like, yo, here's what I'm dealing with, bro. And like, without letting it be like joking about it or like trying to make light of the situation. It's just it's I don't know what it is, but it's tough to just be like, bro, I'm this, you know, you got anything for me, or I just need somebody to hear me out, bro.
That's such a good point you bring up. Like, women are definitely more of a means of community and support for each other.
Yeah.
And I hate to hear that, you know.
It seems like guys, like if you cry, like you're not tough. Like it feel like that's the thing we grew up on. At least for me, like you want to be hard, or like you gotta prove yourself, or like, you know what I mean? Like you gotta be a man.
Let me ask you this. Even though you feel that way, do you at all feel like things are getting like a little bit better though? Like, whereas before maybe you wouldn't bring up anything at all. Like, even if you like, are you kind of at least toying with the idea of like maybe talking about something, but it's uncomfortable?
You're onto something. Awkward? You're onto something. I think probably when I moved to Chicago, really is kind of like 2015. You was there around that time. Yeah, we was kicking it then. Around then I started to like call my friends a little bit more, because I'm not good at that. Like I'm like my homies, they know they my homies, but like it's tough for me to just be like, at least be like, I'm calling to see how you doing, bro. Like, what's up, man? You good? And so around then I was doing it a little bit more. And then when I was really involved at church in Chicago, like there was a lot of like married men there that will really, you know, tell you about yourself, or like really help you out, you know, because they've been a single man before, trying to get right and try to build and stuff. So it was good to be around those guys. Small groups, I really love that at church. Like I feel like every church should do that, like small groups where it's just like 6 or 7 of us and we just like spitting, and like we in the word, we praying, but like we in the word, we praying, but we telling some real life stories. And there's no judgment. It's just like phones off, like that type of vibe. Like I want to get back to that really, and like just finding like-minded individuals, whether it be men or women, you know, people who love God and that just want better for you. So I think I need to get back to that. I mean, the pandemic happened, you know, but that's no excuse. We on Zoom all the time talking to people.
Josiah, you're a little younger than us, you know what I mean? And I feel like even
Josiah be learning from
like
his older brothers.
a
He know what's up.
different like mindset. Do you and your friends like talk about mental health or talk about how you guys feel? Is it any different or is it the same?
I just feel like I'm not comfortable like sharing that with them. Yeah, like I'm like my cousins and my brothers, I'm more comfortable in sharing that with them. I just think it's just a level of relationship, really.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's a good point, because I mean, if you feel comfortable enough to share with, you know, your brothers and your cousins, some men, you know, that's better than none at all.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
progress.
But I do have friends that they just have trouble expressing themselves, you know. And like my guy Mike Floss, he had a release party for his music, for his new tape Contraband, and he was talking about that in between the songs, like sometimes he just has trouble like expressing himself, and like music is the only way for him to be like, yo, here's what I'm going through, and like having that outlet is key. But like someone who doesn't have a music outlet or artist outlet where they can express themselves, right, creative ways. So, you know, just trying to find other ways. So, but you know, conversations like this is, you know, super, super important, for real, for real.
Absolutely. It's a start. And it's not just men that have trouble expressing themselves. You know, I think everybody struggles with that to a certain extent. So it's not uncommon.
Yeah. Time out. I think somebody's, I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna edit this out, but I think somebody's computer is like echoing. Just make sure. I'm about to say, just make sure your preferences is on point. But we good though. I can edit that out though, so don't worry. Let me see where we at with time. Are we good? So it is Mother's Day week, bruh. And Morgan, you had a daughter not too long ago.
7 months. She just turned 7 months the 30th, last week.
How did you feel?
Oh my God. It's looking at her is like the most proud moment. She is just the happiest, sweetest, angelic baby. She's so hilarious. It's so much fun. I'm so tired, like 24/7, but it's like, I don't know what happens, like what God puts in you. But it's like, you can keep going. But being a mom is dope. I love it.
Is it like a transformative feeling of like, I have a daughter, like I have a child now?
Absolutely. And it's like, it doesn't happen overnight. For a long time, you're like, wait, this is my baby. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm a mom. This is my baby. This is, whoa. And it like doesn't hit you. And then slowly but surely you're like, okay, wow, I'm getting the hang of this. This is my new life. Okay.
That's what's up. I know you're really close with your mom. Like, it's like y'all like best friends almost. Like, so like, I guess, what have you learned? I guess what these past, like, I guess including the 9 months you were pregnant, you know, and the 7 now. So what are you kind of learning from her, you know, from your own position right now?
Man, my mom moved down here during the pandemic with us, you know, and it was super hard for her to find a house. You know, the housing market here is crazy. So she's been here through my pregnancy, in the first 7 months of my baby's life, and it has been amazing. Just the support. You don't really know how much you need until someone is there. And now that she has been here all this time, I couldn't have imagined like her not being here. And I think sometimes it's not so much like one thing you can put your finger on, but just having that person like that you trust and that you know loves you and that you're super close with just nearby. Like you feel like that safety, that security, you know what I mean? So it's been super helpful. She has been the best grandma.
That's tight. That's tight. So like let's talk about what you and your husband are doing. So like you're like, when I'm like, first I see an IG page that says Thomas and Cole Design or something like that. Yeah. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Like, so tell me about that, because you know, I'm into that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay, let me find out. So Thomas and Co is like a brand, right? That we kind of created, like mixing like his name, our name, Thomas, our last name, and then Co came from my maiden name, Corbett. And so we mixed them together, and it really just came like from our interest, right? So like we're really into like designing your life and like manifesting the lifestyle that you want and designing it in a way so that you can live how you want to live, like not how you have to live, right? We don't want to have to work to live and always be like on that, like that cycle. So
right.
His after retiring from the NFL, his day job is real estate, day in and day out. And of course, like me in mental health and as a psychologist, I love like feelings. And so we were like, okay, dope. How do we like mix these together? And what we realized is like the way like we designed our house and the way we like to live has a lot to do with how we want to feel in our home or how we want to feel like in certain spaces, right? Mm-hmm. So we're like, okay, like we have really good taste, I think, and we love like y'all do luxury. We love homes. We love like interiors. We love landscape and beautiful foliage. I mean, Florida's like gorgeous. So, and then we kind of just brought all that together and we're like, okay, let's make a brand. Like, what can we do with this? And so we've kind of combined like real estate and development, and then like bringing in some interior design and decorating. And we have our first project that we just have in the works. We got a new property.
In Florida?
Yes, in Florida, in an area called Delray Beach on Lake Ida. It's going to be a tear down, so we're going to build a new house there. We're going to get to pick out everything, really kind of put all of our like design skills and everything to work. So we're really excited. It's the first thing we're actually doing, like with the brand.
Yeah.
Where we weren't really working, we were just kind of really inspired and like seeing where the path took us, and this is where it took us. So we're really excited about that.
That's tight, man.
Yeah, it'll be like a 2 to 3 year project, and what we hope to do is just continue to do that. Buy property, whether it's a renovation or a tear down, and we do new construction, but just using like our creativity, our taste, the things that we love, to build things that inspire people.
Nah, so that's a move.
Y'all like Property Brothers or something?
There you go. Yeah. Except Thomas and Co, not Property Brothers. So yeah. Hey, I would go on HGTV. That show has been a big source of inspiration as well.
Or Architect Digest. That's my joint.
Oh my God. That's like the cream of the crop. Like
that's my dream.
That's like your dream. Yeah. But I won't even say dream. We'll be in Arc Digest one day.
Hey, I'm gonna see y'all on the YouTube page. Like that's my joint.
Oh my gosh, those videos. I love those videos. People show their houses. Yeah, we'll be on there.
Yeah, that's my joint, man. But I'm proud of you, man. It's crazy seeing people that you grew up with doing really dope things. Like, and it's crazy. Like we always in Florida, Josiah, and it's like they're like right outside Fort Lauderdale. And it's like
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say next time you on here, we're gonna have to do an in-person joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta go down there and do it. Yeah.
On the beach.
Yes. Yeah.
Say less.
A little self-care Sunday.
Say less. Yeah, Josiah all the way up in Detroit.
So it's not
away from the cold, away from any snow, any possibility of snow.
Yeah, that's a no-go. No, like I'm out of Chicago for that reason. Like it was too serious.
Way too cold.
For real. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Moco, MOCO .Thomas. And I actually just started my first business, a consulting company. So
okay, congratulations.
Thank you. So before I get licensed, I just want people to know, individuals, families, business, and organizations. I work with those 3 populations, and I just kind of consult with people and I help them in the mental health field. I want to really provide like guidance and support to people, so not quite therapy,
You're on the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is just a side hustle,
I feel you.
And that's on my Instagram as well, and people can always reach out, DM me, and ask more questions.
Yeah, because I'm definitely trying to get you on those pages where we can post about like where Black people can go and try to find stuff that's close to home or more affordable. But make sure y'all call y'all insurance provider.
For real.
It's probably there.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. It's so good to see you, and the feelings are mutual for you, Jordan. You too, Josiah.
For sure. Yeah, well, we're gonna catch you in Florida. Yeah, you have a great Mother's Day.
Oh, thank you guys. I'll see you guys soon.
All right, peace.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye.